very much for that. So between 1996 and 2018, England didn't make it to reach a single semi-final at a major tournament. Now they're in only their third ever final, and they're only the fourth ever nation to make it back-to-back into Euros finals, where of course they will play Spain after their victory over France yesterday. And Gareth Southgate, has had to listen to non-stop criticism since his team arrived over in Germany for this tournament. And was it his substitutions, tactics that got this win?
He might be singing it again tomorrow.
Maybe it was all down to him.
Maybe, we don't know that. Maybe we find out after the game when we get an interview. Obviously the two subs made a difference. Cole Palmer played the ball into Ollie Watkins, brilliant finish. I think the defender's got to do better there, De Vrij. It goes through his legs. It's the only place he can score. And take nothing away from England. They've played well in the first half. I feel that the Dutch were better in the second half. Probably deserved to go to extra time, but it was a piece of magic. What a brilliant finish by Ollie Watkins. Interesting to see what he's going to do now on Sunday, whether he starts him, because it will probably my guess, or I probably think with Watkins in the team, I think England is a better side.
Well, they were certainly the winning side with him in the team. Kevin, everybody spoke about France during this tournament, about how they were playing this tournament football and that they would all come good on the right stage, but everybody dismissed England in the way they were playing.
No, they were much, much better tonight, Joanne. And in fairness, Southgate has got lots of criticism, and a good bit of it deserved. But I tell you what, did he mention the subs? Those subs tonight, he went to win that game by bringing on Cole Palmer and Ollie Watkins. They were positive substitutions, difference makers, involved obviously with the goal and the assist from Cole Palmer. So he deserves credit where it's due, and they played much better. It looked, that man Foden, he got taken off near the end, but he was very good, especially in the first half. Looks much more comfortable through the centre. But all over, Manu was excellent. They just looked a different side tonight. Confident in possession. Created a lot of chances in the first. I thought that was going to come back to bite them. That those chances they created in the first half that they didn't take. They were so on top. And then how the game swung in the second half, the Dutch came a lot more into it. Didn't really create those sort of chances, but were a lot more in the game. Fair juice to England in the end.
England timing it just right, Richie.
It's the best they've played all tournament. Agree with Didi, they didn't do as much in the second half as they did in the first half, but given all the stick they've received, all of it justified, and the difficulty they had in reaching the levels that they showed tonight, he must be delighted. With minimal role in the tournament, 24 minutes I think in the second game is all he's had. I think they deserve it tonight. There was a lot to enjoy about that performance. Mainy's performance again was really good in midfield. Foden looked something close to the Foden we've seen in club football all season. Saka was a danger, and the quality of the winning goal. Like, yes, we'll talk about the defending, but that strike from that player at that angle, at that moment, another big moment.
He was on the pitch for not much more than 10 minutes, and we just saw there on the big screen officially the man of the match.
Yeah, probably rightly so. It was a big call from Southgate, because you mentioned before, John, that he took him off in the last game. After, I think it was the second half of extra time, when he was pushed out of bounds and fell over by the bench, and he had a bit of cramp, and he took him off straight away. And I think with the cramp or with the problems he's had with his calf or thigh, whatever, he kind of made the manager's decision up. He said, I bring him off. I bring Tony on because I've got a penalty taker, because it was very likely, or it looked like it's going to go to penalties against Switzerland. But tonight he didn't need to bring him off. And with 15 or 20 minutes to go, to bring your captain off, it was a big call, because there was chance, or at the time it looked like it will go to extra time and maybe even penalties. So it was a big call, and he made that call. He's been criticised for not making these calls in the past. He made it tonight. He got rewarded for it, and as Kevin said, you've got to give him credit for that. And still when you talk about these teams not playing well in knockout football, you still have to beat them. And only because they're not playing well, you still have to score one more goal than them. And we've seen now in all the knockout games, all tight games, they probably should have been home in their first game against Slovakia, but they found that winner by Bellingham, or that equaliser. You still have to beat them. And their confidence will be sky high, but they face the best team in the tournament so far on Sunday. It'll be another big mountain to climb if they want to win it.
Yes, they do. Of course, 3 years ago, beaten on penalties in the final in Wembley. Well, they are back in there now after that Ollie Watkins wonder strike. You reckon, Diddy, that there was a bit of controversy over that win as well?
Well, Xavi Simons got booked straight after the goal was scored, and the reason being because a minute before he has Gay on the ball, Gakpo dispossesses him, and look at the reaction of the Dutch players. You know, just falls over. This is never a foul, and I think we see Koeman as well, who says, and this wasn't the first time they got a decision for them. Then a minute later, the Dutch didn't get the ball back. They passed the ball for a minute. The English go the other side. And here, Jens Lehmann, a very good goalkeeper, played with for a long time in the national team. He always said, in a position like this, or in a situation like this, you've got to defend the far post. The defender should cover the far post, and the only way he can score from it is through the legs. And I've seen Neuer a few months ago, he conceded a goal where this happened, and he said to the defender, why didn't you close your legs? So the free, obviously, it's the 90th minute, plays against a fresh player, maybe it's a bit of concentration or lapse of concentration, but he's got to defend that better because, as I said, from this angle, the only way he can score is through the defender's legs, and that's what he did, but it's a brilliant finish nonetheless.
Yeah, is that taking away some of the credit from Watkins?
Yeah, I don't know if the lads will show it again there, but it's a fabulous first touch. His first touch sets him up for the quick strike. And I think De Vries thinks he has him. I think he has him safe. He's in an angle, he thinks I have him, and now down by the touchline. He's not going to do it in here, but we'll see it as it goes on.
It's not a free kick there, is it?
No,
it's just not a free kick.
There was probably 3 of those in the lead up in that 5 minutes.
They've obviously plenty of time to recover, and it's at the opposite end of the pitch, but it's not a scenario that should have been created at all. The referee got that one wrong, and it had consequences.
This is the last minute, Richard.
Yeah.
You know, if he doesn't give a free kick, they might get a corner and the game's finished. They may not get the ball back, the English. So, it was a huge...
It is a good pass, though, from Palmer. Does well, turns inside. An assist touch. Just sets him up for the first time shot. And I don't know if you remember, he came on against, was it Denmark? And he gets into a very similar position just after he comes on and nearly scores. A very similar run and touch. And he was unlucky in that game not to score. I think it was literally just after coming off the bench for Kane, and here gets his reward. Because he'd have been frustrated. He'd have been sitting there, he'd been watching Kane, everyone talking about Kane not being able to move, and he's sitting there and he did well for the 20 minutes he came on against Denmark. Was never seen again. Gets his 20 minutes tonight. And his patience has rewarded him, because I'm sure he wouldn't have been coming on unless the manager thought he'd been still out and trained and a positive attitude. Comes on, you see the delight on his face. He's just scored the winner in a European Championship semi-final.
We talked before about how you all said that UEFA have put the referee Felix Weyer in this unbelievable position because every single decision he makes tonight was going to be questioned based on the incident he had with Jude Bellingham from 3 years ago, when Bellingham was fined for referring to the match-fixing scandal in which he was found to have taken a bribe back in 2005. Jude Bellingham was involved in a couple of incidents here.
Yeah.
Give us your take, Diddy.
Well, here he gets booked for that. He's a bit late. He's probably a bit fortunate that he doesn't get hurt himself, but yeah, I think the booking is the right decision. And then only a minute or two later, he heads the ball here, can't control it, gets out of play, it's whistled, and he kicks the ball away. Now this is a booking. We've seen players booked for this in this tournament. There's no two ways about it. This has to be a booking. And now we can argue now, if it's another player, if it's a Dutch player, is he going to send him off? Doesn't he send him off because he's Bellingham? Obviously, this is what we discussed beforehand, but I don't think there's two ways about it. This should have been a booking. He should have been off there.
Do you agree?
Yeah, it's a clear offence, and it's a bookable offence. There's no subjectivity needed. There's no mitigating circumstances. The whistle had blown. He knew it. He took a touch and then deliberately played the ball away. So it's time wasting or whatever it is, but it's a booking. Now, would we be having this conversation even if they didn't have the backstory? Probably, because it's still a referee's decision. But now we've chucked in the extra detail of, was the backstory a factor in this? Is the slight little bias he might have, unconscious or otherwise, to overcompensate for any allegations of score settling with Bellingham, or did it have nothing to do with it? But it's a situation that shouldn't be discussed because UEFA shouldn't have had him on this game.
Will the Dutch, though, be kicking themselves, as well as decisions that went against them? Will they feel that they had enough chances, enough possession in the second half to have at least got a draw out of that enforced extra time?
I think more the possession rather than the chances, because they didn't turn the possession into clear-cut chances. This is a set piece and it's a coming together between Walker and Van Dijk, and it ricochets off one of them and comfortably enough saved by Pickford. Weghorst is on at this point, so this is what you need to do when he's there. Just aim for him and he'll create havoc. And Simon's there, reacted the breaking ball at the edge of the box, but doesn't make a clear enough contact, doesn't really test Pickford. It's a routine save, but that's the best they produced with a hell of a lot of possession. So from that point of view, yes is the answer. That'll be a disappointing element of it for them.
You all seem to find it very frustrating watching the Dutch in that second half.
Yeah, there was just Simon especially. He scored a fabulous goal in the first half, and he was going to have a great game from here, but he kept leaving passes short. We're getting into good positions, not taking the advantage of them. He, in particular, to me, just stood out as one that was off the pace. But then Southgate goes and makes 2 subs to try win the game, and to me, Koeman didn't. He just wanted to get it extra time. Maybe he felt there. England have been to 2 games now in extra time, and if he could get them there, their legs wouldn't hold out. But in fairness, Southgate got his decisions right, and Koeman didn't take that risk.
You did question him as well, because you kept expecting that Xavi Simons would be taken off the pitch much earlier.
Yeah, they were so sloppy in possession, and I wasn't frustrated in the second half because I felt in the second half they played quite well without really threatening England's goal. I was very frustrated in the first half because they gave the ball away so easily. Simons, Dumfries a few times. Ryan, they passed the ball out of play. 5, 6, 8 yards passes which they mishit, didn't find the play, goes out of play. And England had a lot of possession. Now, obviously, when you give the ball back so easily, then at some stage it catches up with you, because then you have to defend again, and you've got to wait 1, 2, 3 minutes before you get the ball back. And they were so wasteful in possession in the first half. It wasn't them. But then again, we spoke about it. They had a half like this against Austria, and in one of the knockout games, they played a similar game against Turkey, where they didn't play well in the first half. And maybe it caught up with them. Second half, I felt they did what they had to do. They controlled the ball, restricted England to maybe 1 or 2 half chances. Didn't threaten, but yeah, if it had gone to extra time, I probably would have fancied them or favoured them, because they finished the game stronger. But overall, did they do enough? Probably not. But then again, there were a few controversial decisions which didn't go their way. They lost their heads. They started arguing with the referee because they were probably frustrated with their own performance as well. And then to lose that game in the last minute, there was a hammer blow.
Regardless, England did answer many of the questions asked of them, not just their manager, of course, Gareth Southgate being a question throughout this tournament, but Harry Kane, their captain as well. A big smile on Harry Kane's face. Richie, quite a few times you referred there, he said a real difficult tournament there at the start, and at the end again he talked about a tough journey. So they are feeling all of this.
Yeah,
and
well, they
everything
spent
that's
the
been said.
first week or first 10 days talking about how much the pressure was getting to them and how much the criticism was impacting them and hurting them, and their performances were below par. But what he said there about the emphasis for the whole group is everyone's got to be ready. You've got a job whether you start or not or finish or not. You've got to be ready, and I think that comes from Southgate. You can assess his management style in a load of different ways: conservative, safe, cautious, whatever. We've gone through it all, but one part of it that he's definitely brought to the role from day one is try to recreate the culture within the squad. Move away from the cliques of yesteryear or superstars or not a united group. This and that interview, I think, was a window into it as well. They are a group as one. There hasn't been leaks really from the camp, was there, of disgruntled players. There's been none of that, and I think that is another indication of why they were able to weather the storm of the last couple of weeks. But tonight, football-wise, I think this is the biggest point. I think they were more deserving of that result than any of the results they've gotten up until now.
OK, so it is England against Spain. Yeah, so there you go. Confirmation of how both of them got there. England having to come from behind in all of their knockout games to make it to the final, where they play Spain. As touched upon by Ollie Watkins, Kevin, in that interview, he says it helps to get us going. It's a dangerous way to play it.
They're going to win it, Joanne. They're going to win the Euros. It's just, I think it's written in the stars. Just some of the performances bicycle kick, 96-minute equalisers. I've been behind in the three knockout games. It's just destined to win the Euros.
They destined, did he?
I don't think they're destined. They've got a biggest test on Sunday. Obviously, you've got to give him every chance because they showed mentality. Coming from behind once is a brilliant achievement. Do it 3 times is outstanding. And you've got to give him credit. They're there. There's 20, how many did we have? 24, 22 teams still at home watching on Sunday. And they're still there with the Spanish. But I just feel that the Spanish might be keeping the ball too well for them because they're tough games now. And he kept the same formation. So the lads who started the game today probably start the game again on Sunday. And all these players will have played 5 or 6 near enough full games. And the way Spain is keeping the ball, it may just tire them out a little bit too much. You've got to give him every chance. I make Spain slight favourites, but wouldn't be surprised if England were to go all the way.
Can they stop Lamine Yamal, Richie?
He's the most exciting player of this tournament, and because of his age, it's mind-boggling what he's able to do. It is, I think, by a distance, the toughest opposition England will face. The phrase I kept hearing all tournament was, it's a sign of a good team to be winning games and you're not playing well. You may say that, but it's also the sign of limited opposition, that when you're not playing well, you're not getting beaten. And I think that's been a big part of England's story. Tonight, they played really well, particularly in the first half. And they'll be walking off that pitch tonight, going into the final, Foden thinking there's so many elements of that performance, if he can just reproduce, that'll be enough. Mainu was excellent as well. Saka, for the second game in a row, looked a real danger. It was Kane's best performance. Kane is now pushing to win the Golden Boot. So there's so many individuals there that can go into final going, I've now reached somewhere close to the form I know I can produce, just do it again. Whereas they came into tonight looking for a form, looking for a performance that would silence the critics but be enough to beat a team of the quality of Netherlands, and they produced it.
Well, you all said before tonight's game that this was the biggest test, this was the biggest team that they had played. Didn't they not raise the game to the biggest? And now they're playing an even better team.
They played very well. First half particularly, really well. Dominated the game. Should have been a couple of more goals up. And I agree with the lads about the Spanish team 100%. I think they have better players. I think they've been more exciting, obviously, to watch. I just think it's meant to be. I just think England just have gone all the way through. That's the third game I've done of them with Tom. They've been poor and they've been crap and they've come back. And you see they actually played well today. I just think how they've gone about the tournament, how things have gone their way when they've been playing really poor. 96-minute first shot on target against Slovakia is a bicycle kick to get them into extra time. 80th minute first shot on target against the Swiss to get them into extra time. 1-0 v Serbia, 1-1 v Denmark, 0-0 v Slovenia. And every game we said they're going to be going home, they're not good enough. I just think it's just meant to be. It doesn't matter what way they play on Sunday, I just think they're going to win.
But if you flip that and you look at from the Spain end, 3 wins in the group stage, completely changed their team in the final group game, so all the squad players got a rest, the most rested and best position going into the knockout games, did a lot better in the knockout games than England did, and beat a far higher quality opposition last night than England beat it tonight. No question marks about any element of the Spanish performance at all. Not looking for anyone to gel. You're not looking for partnerships to develop. There's no questions about team selection. Spain are at the level you need to be to win the tournament.
I 100% agree with you.
As a counterpoint to the argument that, well, there's no real reason why England should win, but I think they will.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I just think it's just going to be.
What way do you think that England then approach? Because you talked about how they're a better team when Ollie Watkins is in the side, how that changes things. But when they're coming up against a team whom you say they're going to struggle to get the ball against, so do they aim to just soak up pressure, hit on the counter, or do they go out, play the likes of Watkins in and just go for it from the start?
I think he plays the same team. I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised. I think Kane will start. He plays the same team on Sunday, and he's probably got a reason to do it, because this is a team he's always started. You've got to say in the knockout games, the subs, they all had an impact, even though when it was only the penalty shootout in the last game. And it's a set group and a set unit, and they trust each other. They've got huge belief in their own ability. They know they've got players on the bench who can turn games, which is obviously a big threat because I don't think we've seen Anthony Gordon at all. Eze we hardly seen. But in Palmer and Watkins, he's got brilliant players. You've got Ivan Toney there, can mix it up, and you need somebody else. So he'll start the same team. The question will be, I think if they do go behind against Spain, I don't think they'll come back. So we know the first goal is always important because Spain, Netherlands scored today. And from the moment they scored, they sat back and they just hoofed the ball forward. And they invited pressure and the ball come back every time. And with every second, every minute, the pressure got more. And then they get the penalty, and then obviously it was an open game. If you go behind against France, they keep playing the same way. They still pass the ball. And I think that's the danger. If they do go behind against Spain, I don't think they win the game. And yeah, it's a 50-50 game. But I'd be very surprised if he makes any changes.
OK, well, we are very much so looking forward to it. It's just that one Euros programme that remains for 2024. Thank you to Kevin, to Didi and to Richie for their time tonight. And as Kevin has pointed out, it is now 58 years of hurt for the Three Lions. For Spain, it's been a 12-year gap since football went home for